What happened inside a wet Westminster hall on a Tuesday afternoon was never supposed to make the news. A woman who was explicitly banned from the official guest list slipped past armed security, crossed 40 feet of stone floor, and confronted the Princess of Wales in front of 24 reporters. She did not yell. She did not cause a scene. She stood inches from Catherine's face and accused the future Queen's family of deliberately orchestrating a ruthless financial audit to ruin her family's legacy. The entire room went dead silent. The press corps froze. But the person who ended the ambush was not a royal protection officer. It was 76-year-old Princess Anne, standing 4 feet away near a display of local produce. Anne did not raise her voice. She did not argue. She calmly adjusted her gloves, looked directly at the intruder, and asked security one ice-cold question. Had anyone actually verified the afternoon session's guest list? In less than 90 seconds, the intrusion was over, and the woman was escorted out into the rain. But what that room witnessed was not an emotional outburst. It was a pre-planned, highly calculated public execution. The intruder was Laura Lope's Queen Camilla's daughter. For 15 years, Camilla's family believed they were entitled to the management and profits of a vast 12,000-acre royal estate. But when a sweeping financial audit began digging through decades of unauthorized payouts, the gravy train came to a sudden, screeching halt. Laura did not show up to Westminster by accident. She was slipped through a side door using a forged local pass, strategically placed right across from a freelance photographer who had been sitting on the diagonal with a long lens since 10 in the morning. Every single camera click was timed to capture Catherine's reaction. It was a desperate attempt to create a public scandal and force the palace to back off the audit. Before we reveal the ruthless move Prince William pulled the moment he saw the raw footage, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. If you love deep, unfiltered breakdowns of what really goes on behind palace doors, you are in the right place. When news of the confrontation reached Prince William, he was on a private conference call. He hung up mid-sentence, a complete shock to his staff, who know him as the most procedural, polite man in the building. He did not ask for the news headlines. He did not ask for a press statement. He demanded the raw, unedited camera card directly from the photographer's lens. William sat in a darkened office, watching the footage over and over in absolute silence. He wasn't looking at his wife's reaction. He was watching the 90 seconds before Laura stepped out of the crowd. He was looking for the setup. And what he discovered on that tape proved this was an inside job coordinated by someone sitting inside the palace walls. The atmosphere inside the palace basement briefing room at 5 o'clock that evening was described by senior aides as absolute ice. Prince William walked in without taking off his coat, placed his phone on the center of the heavy mahogany table, and projected the raw footage onto the wall. For 40 seconds, the only sound in the dark room was the audio from the tape, the rapid-fire clicking of a professional camera shutter firing at 8 frames a second in a silent hall. The photographer was already focused on Catherine before Laura even took her first step. It was absolute proof that the press had been tipped off in advance. William turned off the projector, turned to the director of security, and made his demand crystal clear. He did not want an explanation. He wanted a name. He wanted to know exactly who authorized an unaccredited relative to enter a secured building containing 2 senior working royals. When an aide attempted to soft-pedal the situation by claiming the invitation came from an outside regional charity director, William cut him off instantly. He pulled out a red-tagged, highly classified folder titled Internal Influences, a document tracking informal relationships across the households. Within 60 seconds, William found the link: a mid-level administrator inside the palace who was secretly married to a personal assistant working directly inside Queen Camilla's private household. The leak was not external. Camilla's own staff had used their back-channel authority to bypass royal security protocols and drop Laura right in front of the cameras. William did not hesitate. Within 20 minutes, the administrator was escorted off the palace grounds by 2 security officers, stripped of his security clearance, and terminated on the spot. While William was purging the London staff, Princess Anne was executing her own quiet investigation from the back of her car. Anne knew better than anyone that protocol is the only thing keeping a monarchy from falling into chaotic personal warfare. As her driver navigated through London traffic, Anne did not check her phone or speak to her aides. She pulled up the full attendance record for the Westminster showcase. Sitting on that list were 3 regional journalists, none from the main royal press pool, all of whom maintained long, friendly ties to Camilla's inner circle. They were tipped off to be in that room at that exact hour. Anne immediately realized that the financial audit details had been leaked from within her brother's own office. Instead of confronting anyone, Anne picked up her phone and placed a single call to an old contact outside the official court circular. She ordered a digital trace on the encrypted correspondence surrounding the audit. She didn't care about the contents. She wanted the routing. She wanted to know which office pushed the trigger. By Thursday morning, Prince William had compiled an airtight, devastating master file. He scheduled a strictly private emergency meeting with King Charles inside the royal quarters. There were no raised voices, no dramatic shouting matches, and 0 room for debate. William unrolled a map of the estate titles and laid down the evidence piece by piece, the unedited video card, forensic security breach logs, and an undeniable encrypted digital paper trail linking Queen Camilla's inner household directly to the media setup. He did not ask his father for permission or guidance. Instead, with cold, terrifying precision, he calmly informed the king of the non-negotiable steps required to protect the future of the crown. Charles, physically exhausted and battling severe health challenges, sat in complete, suffocating silence as he processed the sheer level of disrespect directed at Catherine and Princess Anne. For 20 long years, Charles had asked the royal institution and the public to accept his wife's family. Yet, in return for 2 decades of unconditional backing, Camilla's relatives had covertly orchestrated a public ambush against the future Queen of England. Without offering a single word of defense, the king reached across his desk and signed a sweeping, non-negotiable internal decree. The document permanently severed Camilla's family from every official piece of palace business, revoked their estate management privileges, and barred them from receiving any future institutional funding. The financial fallout was swift, brutal, and utterly devastating. Within 48 hours, the audit moved completely out of the palace offices and directly into the automated compliance divisions of the private banking sector. Automatically generated red flags instantly triggered across the personal bank accounts belonging to Camilla's family members. Every transfer exceeding £5,000 was frozen pending full legal documentation of its origin. Decades of unapproved personal loans and unauthorized leverage taken quietly against royal estate properties were suddenly exposed to the light, leaving Laura Lopes and her family facing astronomical financial liabilities they could never hope to pay back. In a quiet estate management office lined with half-packed cardboard boxes, Laura sat motionless on the bare floor. Beside her lay a formal notice ordering her family to vacate the premises by the end of the week. She had staged that aggressive public confrontation, believing her mother would step in, pull strings behind the scenes, and shield them from the audit. But Queen Camilla never called. She did not intervene. She did not place a quiet call to security or issue a supporting statement to the media pool. To protect her own extraordinarily fragile standing as queen, Camilla went completely dark, severing communication and leaving her daughter to face the full force of Prince William's retaliation completely alone. What began as a calculated attempt to publicly intimidate Catherine into dropping a financial investigation ended in the total, permanent removal of Camilla's bloodline from the royal machinery. Prince William proved to every plotting courtier, opportunistic relative, and palace insider that the era of backdoor deals and press leaks is officially dead. He established a terrifying new precedent, Anyone who dares to target the future queen will be systematically erased from the palace machinery before the sun even goes down.